What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mick Thinks Tiny. My name is Mick. So if you're interested in going tiny, one of the most helpful things you can do is to walk through an existing tiny house. And one of the best ways to do that is by going to a tiny house festival or an event near you. So today I'm going to talk about tiny house festivals across the United States. Some are annual as well too, and there's some coming up within the next 3 weeks to a month of when this video is airing in early 2025. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about tiny house festivals. All right, welcome back. So today I'm talking about tiny house festivals in the United States. This is a really important topic because there are quite a few festivals that you can go to all year round, from early spring all the way through the winter, and there's some that happen every single year, so it's important to keep a few of them on your calendar. When we're talking about tiny house festivals, we're talking about indoor-outdoor venues where you can tour tiny houses. There's generally sections for things like van life or campers. You can talk to tiny house builders directly, which is huge. You can ask questions. You can go to some of the speaker events. You get invaluable information from people who are sort of innovating in the field. You get to see new innovations and designs. Those are often revealed at these festivals. And then you can also see like different I guess what I would call like accessories to the industry, like solar and energy, and different companies like that, or like composting toilets, that sort of thing. So there's quite a few things for you to be able to check out. The pro of attending one of these festivals is that obviously you get to do the walkthroughs. You can talk to the builders. I would say talking to the builders and the walkthroughs are probably the most important pros of going to a festival, because it's different than if you just call a tiny house builder up and ask questions. There's sometimes tiny homes on site that are actually for sale, so that's really awesome too. You might be able to find your dream tiny home at a festival. You can talk to designers. It's huge for networking, so if you're in any aspect of the industry, it's a great, or you want to get into the industry, it's a great opportunity to network. And then it's a good opportunity to learn about industry changes through some of the speaker opportunities that you have to go to. So today I'm going to talk about the annual events. So I'm focusing on 7 events in particular. It's not an exhaustive list. There are other one-off events that you'll see on social media, but I wanted to focus on the ones that I know come up every single year, so you can mark your calendar. And then there's also international events too. So if you want to check those out, you can look those up as well. But today we're focusing on the United States and the annual events. So I'm going to talk about Tiny Fest. I'm going to talk about Carolina Tiny House Festival, the Great American Tiny House Show, the Colorado Tiny House Festival, Tiny House Expo and Conference, the Vegas Tiny Home Expo, and Fall Tiny House Expo. So I am going to cover quite a few in this video, but I will try not to spend too much time on each one, so that you just get a general sense for what each event offers, where it's located, and when it happens. Tiny Fest California, in my opinion, is one of the biggest ones in the United States. So this is just what their website looks like. It's hosted every year in San Diego. It's coming up in March, so March 8th through 9th of 2025, so not too far from when this video is recorded. It is located at the Del Mar Fairgrounds. So for those of you who are less familiar with the area, it's about 25 to 30 minutes north of San Diego, like proper. There's thousands of people there, tiny homes, builders, designers. There's an entire section just for van life. There's speakers and giveaways as well too. This is the one I've been to. I went last year. It was tons of fun. I would say the biggest pro of this one is that you just get to see so many different styles of tiny homes. There were some tiny homes that were so popular, so luxurious, that there was a line wrapped around. I actually waited in line for a very long time to see a tiny home, and it was totally worth the wait. So this is a huge one. Lots of foot traffic, and it's across 2 days. So if you miss something on one day, or you kind of tire out, you can always go the next day. Next up is the Carolina Tiny House Festival. So this one's new. It's in its 2nd year. Last year was its 1st year. This is what their website looks like. This is located in Concord, North Carolina. It goes from April 5th to the 6th this year, 2025. Like I said, it's the 2nd year of the festival. Super excited. It's going to be bigger, even bigger than it was last year. Tiny homes, builders, designers, speakers, and workshops is kind of a highlight, because they're focusing on sort of like elevating women-owned businesses too. So you'll get a chance to support different variety of tiny house owners and builders in the industry. And then there's family-friendly activities too. Next up is the Great American Tiny House Show. This is one I'm only slightly familiar with. I'm much more familiar with Tiny Fest and the Carolina Tiny House Festival. And I'm aware of the Colorado one that I'll talk about in a little bit. I came across this website though. It seems worth going to because they're located in Virginia. So it's good for those of you who are on the East Coast. You don't have to travel too much. You don't have to come all the way over to the West Coast for Tiny Fest. They're focusing on housing solutions and as well. So it's a good opportunity to talk to people who are kind of like at the forefront of trying to make things better in the industry and using tiny homes as a way to do that. So that one is going to be in Fredericksburg, Virginia. It was in June last year, so I'm just assuming it's June this year, but I couldn't find the date. And again, there'll be tiny homes and builders and designers. And so that's what the Great American Tiny House Show is about, but it's focusing more on innovations and having conversations about how we can push the housing industry forward and make it more accessible and affordable for people. Next up is the Colorado Tiny House Festival. This is a pretty big one too. So whenever I've talked to people in the industry, they mention Tiny Fest and they mention the Colorado Festival. So these are the two that have kind of been in the back of my mind. The Colorado Festival, this is what their website looks like. It's held every year. The date hasn't been released yet, but it's near Denver. It's in July of 2025. This one has a lot of people too, so thousands of people, lots of foot traffic. People come from all over the country to convene at this one, as well as they do for the Tiny Fest in San Diego. You've got speakers, builders, designers. You have like a special sort of like focus on sustainability and off-grid options too. And then of course you've got networking as well. The Tiny House Conference and Expo is one I came across when I was just doing research for putting things together for this video. So this is what their website looks like. It's hosted in California in August of this year. So you're looking at the 15th to the 17th. So if you're interested in going to a Tiny House Festival and you want to travel to the West Coast, this might be a good option if you don't want to do things on a tight timeline because Tiny Fest is so soon, but this gives you a chance to plan. It's part of the Tri-County Home and Garden Show as well. So they'll have speaker series and tiny homes and builders and designers, but they'll also have vans available for rent. So this is a cool opportunity for those of you who are interested in van life or sort of using van life as like a entry point into tiny living. So you can check out some of these vans they have for rent. Then there's the Vegas Tiny Homes Expo, which is in the fall of this year. It'll be September 5th through the 7th. Now, this one is brand new. They're advertising as sort of like their premier event for their company, which is Vegas Tiny Homes. It's a new event, so there'll be tiny homes, builders, speakers, designers. So this one is a really cool one if you're in the Vegas area or you want to make a trip out to Vegas, and then you also can come to this conference as well too. So this is a new one to sort of keep in the back of your mind. And then there's the fall, I'm calling it the Fall Tiny House Show. This is what their website looks like. So it's going to be in Fresno, California in November 7th through the 9th. 7th through the 9th. And the Fresno Fairgrounds, so kind of similar to, Tiny Fest being in the Del Mar Fairgrounds. You'll have speaker series and tiny homes and builders and designers at that one too. So depending on where you're located in the West Coast, maybe it makes more sense to go to Fresno as opposed to San Diego. So this is a good one to keep in mind. And also want to mention that not every builder goes to everyone. So you might have a builder go to Tiny Fest that you're not going to see at Fresno or vice versa. So just make sure you're checking out the social media pages of the companies that you really like to make sure you don't miss when they're coming to a location near you or one you're willing to travel to. So the big tips for choosing an event, I would say first and foremost is location, because location affects price, right? So if you live in Pennsylvania, it probably makes more sense to go to the Carolina Tiny Fest in North Carolina or the Great American Tiny House Show, which is in Virginia, than flying all the way to California unless you're already planning a trip. So you can check the website for prices. Ticket prices vary. So like for Tiny Fest right now, I know they're sitting at around $22.50. For some, I've seen much cheaper. If you're going to be a speaker or you want to work with a builder or something like that, you might be able to go for free. So you just have to figure out. And there's definitely opportunities on social media. Sometimes they give away free passes or they give away discounts. So just check out the social media pages for these different events too. And then the other piece of it is check the vendor and exhibitor information. So on their websites, it'll say like, closer to, it'll say who their vendors are going to be. So if you check out, the Great American Tiny House Festival and you see that there's, you scroll through the list of vendors and you don't know any of them, you don't like, or you don't want to see any of them, maybe don't make the trip to Virginia. If you enjoy traveling and if you have the ability to travel, because it'll cost you more money, there are tiny house festivals in Canada, in Australia, and Germany as well too. So you can check out those you just look those festivals up on Google, and those will pop up. So if you're interested in traveling and seeing tiny houses, you've got an opportunity for international tiny house festivals. So, what do you think of these 7? Which ones would you go to? Have you already been to a tiny house festival? If so, which one? Please drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys. What was that experience like? Do you feel like it was useful? Do you feel like it's worth it to go every single year? This is a cool one. I wanted to shout out to the person that suggested looking into this. This is something that is sort of just in the back of my mind. I didn't really think to make a video about it, but I see where it would be helpful for you all to just have a condensed version of the top 7 that you should consider. But there's definitely more, so make sure you check it out and do Google searches and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to think tiny.